I never imagined a single day at the beach could change my life in ways I'd never even dreamed of. I was standing there, my toes digging into the wet sand, watching the waves crash over each other, when I noticed her struggling. At first, I thought she was just playing around, enjoying herself like anyone would on a sunny afternoon. But then I saw her head dip beneath the water, thrash against the current, and my heart stopped. She was gasping, panicking, and the waves were merciless, slamming her against themselves like they were trying to pull her under forever. I didn't think twice, I dove in. Cold, unforgiving water hit me all at once, but I kept swimming toward her, feeling the raw power of the ocean pulling at both of us. When I finally grabbed her, I hauled her back toward the shore, dragging her out, coughing up salt water, gasping for air. She was unconscious at first, limp in my arms, but slowly she opened her eyes, looking at me as if seeing the world for the first time. And in that moment, something unexplainable happened. Her eyes lingered on me, and I swear I saw something I wasn't expecting. Admiration, gratitude, and maybe even the hint of love. Tell me, would you have done the same if you saw a stranger drowning? Did you ever think a moment of heroism could make someone see you in a completely different light? I'm a single dad, which means my life is already complicated enough. Between raising my son, juggling work, and trying to carve out just a few hours for myself, I'm usually too tired to even notice anything extraordinary happening. I had been working late nights, picking my son up from school, making sure he had dinner, helping with homework, and somehow finding moments to breathe. My name is Marcus, and life had taught me to keep my head down, stay out of trouble, and focus on what mattered most, my family. But that day, everything I knew about routine, about safety, about what life should look like, went out the window when I saw her in trouble. I didn't care that she was probably some rich executive, probably someone way above my league in every possible way. All I knew was I had to get her out of that water. And when I did, dripping wet, exhausted, and shaking from adrenaline, I had no idea that this one act would set off a chain reaction that neither of us could have anticipated. She came around slowly, sitting up on the sand, shivering, brushing wet hair from her face. That was when I noticed the expensive watch on her wrist, the subtle designer logo on her swimsuit cover-up, the way she held herself even in vulnerability with this undeniable air of command. I didn't know it at the time, but she was the CEO of one of the largest companies in the country. She introduced herself with a shaky smile, but her eyes, God, her eyes, were locked on me. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, trembling with relief. I shrugged, trying to play it off. "Just did what anyone would do," I said, trying to sound casual, even though my heart was pounding in a way I hadn't felt in years. I kept my distance, thinking that was all this would ever be. A moment in time, a blur, a brush with fate that would fade into the background of our busy lives. But fate had other plans. The next few days, I couldn't get her out of my head. I kept thinking about her, about the way she had looked at me after I saved her. And then life threw us together again in the most unexpected way. A week later, I was walking into a coffee shop near my son's school, grabbing an iced tea, when I spotted her across the room. She froze, saw me, and smiled the kind of smile that made you stop breathing for a moment. I froze too, unsure if I should acknowledge her or just walk away. But she walked over, her confidence fully restored now that she wasn't gasping for air, and sat down without waiting for an invitation. That was when the conversation started, awkward at first, just small talk, trying to find a rhythm. But soon we were laughing, really laughing, like two people who somehow had known each other forever. She asked me about my life, about my son, about my job, and I asked her the same, though carefully, trying not to reveal too much. But every answer, every word, every glance seemed to pull us closer, and deep down I could feel that same pull she had felt the day I saved her, though neither of us dared to name it yet. Over the next few weeks, our paths kept crossing. She had this way of showing up in the most unexpected places, always with a smile, always with that warmth that made me feel like I wasn't just a single dad scraping by, like I was someone worth noticing. I was cautious. I've been burned before. I've been underestimated because of my race, because of my circumstances. People often assume a single black dad couldn't possibly have the depth, the intelligence, or the stability to be someone worthy of admiration. I had felt that my whole life, but she didn't treat me like that. She looked at me like I was more than what anyone else assumed. And yet I still held back, afraid that I was reading into things that weren't there. That's the thing about moments like that, the ones that shake you to your core. You want to believe they mean something, but sometimes the heart lies. Or maybe it doesn't. One evening, she called me out of the blue. I was surprised, expecting a polite thank you or nothing at all. Instead, she invited me to a dinner she was hosting, just the two of us in a private setting, away from the chaos of the corporate world. I hesitated, wondering what people would think, wondering if I was stepping into a world I didn't belong in. But something inside me told me to say yes, to take a chance. That night, I dressed my best, my son sleeping upstairs, thinking that maybe, just maybe, life had finally decided to give me something extraordinary. When I arrived, she greeted me with that same smile that had haunted me for days. And I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. I was falling for her, deeply, irrationally, and completely. And as the night progressed, as we shared stories, laughter, even silent moments that felt charged with electricity, I saw it in her eyes too. She was falling for me, and I had no idea how to handle it. So here's where it gets complicated. I had no idea how serious she was about her feelings, and I had no idea how she would react to someone like me, a black single dad, juggling life's chaos, far from the polished world she inhabited. I kept telling myself to be cautious, to protect my heart, but she had a way of breaking down walls without even trying. Weeks turned into months, and every moment we spent together, every conversation, every shared silence, pulled us closer. We started going on real dates, exploring the city, discovering little hidden gems, just the two of us, laughing, joking, and opening up in ways I hadn't with anyone before. She was brilliant, ambitious, commanding in the boardroom, yet somehow she was soft, vulnerable, and open with me. And every time she looked at me the way she did that first day, I felt something inside me shift, something that told me this wasn't just a fleeting connection. This was real, this was love, but could someone like her really love someone like me without the world getting in the way? And then came the moment that changed everything, the moment that would test our connection, our trust, and our hearts. We decided to take a weekend trip to the beach, to relive that first day, ironically enough, and to celebrate everything that had brought us together. I felt nervous, excited, and terrified all at once. I had a feeling this weekend would reveal everything, the truths we hadn't admitted yet. As we were walking along the shoreline, talking, laughing, and letting the waves lap at our feet, I noticed her staring at me differently. There was a vulnerability there, a curiosity, and a longing I hadn't seen before. And then, almost as if the universe was testing me again, a sudden wave knocked her off balance, and she fell. Before I could react, I dove, grabbed her, and pulled her to safety. Again. The irony wasn't lost on me. But this time, when she looked up at me, her eyes were filled with something more than gratitude. They were filled with love, desire, and a depth I couldn't ignore. And in that moment, it hit me. I had fallen in love with my CEO. My rescuer had become my heart's keeper, and I didn't know how to navigate this world where love seemed both impossible and inevitable. Now let me pause here and ask you, what would you have done in my shoes You see a woman, brilliant, powerful, untouchable in many ways, but she sees you, really sees you. Do you hold back because of fear? Or do you dive head first, risking everything for a chance at love? That's the exact choice I faced, and I had to make it, because the longer I waited, the more the world around us threatened to intervene, to create barriers where none should exist. And in those moments, I realized love doesn't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't care about social status, about assumptions, about the opinions of others. It simply exists, and if you're brave enough, you grab it. And that's exactly what I decided to do. The climax of our story came quietly, unexpectedly, yet completely. One night, after weeks of dancing around our feelings, after sharing glances, touches, and unspoken words, she invited me to her penthouse. The city lights glittered beneath us, the night air thick with possibility. We talked for hours, revealing fears, dreams, and past pains, and I could see that she was as scared as I was. She confessed that the first time she saw me, when I pulled her from the waves, something inside her shifted. She realized she had never felt this way about anyone before, and she hadn't known how to process it. I told her the truth too, about my life, about my son, about the walls I had built, and how she was the one who had torn them down. And then, in that moment, words weren't enough. We leaned into each other, the world fading away, and we kissed. Not a fleeting kiss, but one that carried months of fear, longing, and unspoken love. In that instant, I knew everything had changed. Love had found us in the most unexpected way, in the most chaotic circumstances, and nothing would ever be the same again. After that night, our relationship transformed. She wasn't just my CEO or my rescuer. She was my partner, my confidante, the person who challenged me, supported me, and loved me unconditionally. My son adored her, sensing her warmth and authenticity, and even the world seemed to bend a little in our favor. We faced challenges, of course, people questioning our age difference, our backgrounds, our roles in society, but none of it mattered, because the truth we discovered in those waves, the truth that connected us beyond status, beyond race, beyond fear, was love. And it was real. And that's what I want everyone watching to understand. Love can come from the most unexpected places, and sometimes the people you least expect are the ones who will change your life forever. So here's my final thought. Life has a funny way of testing us, of placing us in situations that seem impossible, and yet those situations reveal who we really are. Don't be afraid to dive in, to take chances, and to see people for who they truly are, beyond the surface, beyond assumptions. If you see someone in need, don't hesitate. You never know if that moment could lead to the most incredible love of your life. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I want to know, what would you have done if you were in my shoes, watching someone you didn't expect to love struggle in the waves? I'll see you all in the next story.